Just to wet your whistle, this self-portrait by Jean-Michel Basquiat sold for $42 million at Sotheby's this month, and that doesn't even crack our top 5. That's right, November is the biggest auction month of the year, and that's when the big auction houses bring out their most important works to sell to the public. And today, I'm going to bring you the top 5 auction prices paid this season. And this list is dominated by some of the biggest art stars of the 20th century. But don't worry, for all you Jeff Koons haters, he didn't come close to making this list. With no further ado, I bring you the top 5 most expensive, along with a bonus battle at the end that pits 2 heavyweight paintings head to head. So, let's get right into it. Coming in at number 5.
Hooray!
Scratch that.
No!
Actually, we have a tie. So coming in at number 4,
Hooray!
And also at number 4, we have one artist you most certainly know, and another you may not be as familiar with. Both sold for the jaw-dropping sum of $46.4 million. Let's start with the Rothko. $46 million certainly seems like a ton of money, but when you compare it to works of similar size from the past, like this one that sold at Phillips in 2014, you might think of it as a bit of a disappointment. In fact, Rothko's record at auction is from 2012, when this piece sold for nearly $87 million. So it's safe to say the Rothko market has been cooling, and I'm sure we would all love to have a Rothko hanging in our house, but I just hope none of my faithful viewers paid the prices from 10 years ago. And now onto the California Kid. Richard Diebenkorn knocked it out of the park with this painting from 1965, which also sold at Christie's. An earlier work that not only shows his admiration for Matisse, but starts to give hints towards what would become his most famous paintings, the Ocean Park series. This Ocean Park painting was his previous auction record at a mere $27 million when it sold at Sotheby's in 2021. This just goes to show that a strong, important, and fresh-to-the-market work can still perform really, really well in any economy.
Yay!
Francis Bacon's Figure and Movement, which reminds me a bit of an MMA cage fight, is actually a painting of his then-deceased and very dysfunctional lover, George Dyer. Christie's, of course, called this a work of near operatic grandeur, and undoubtedly it is an important work, made more obvious by its selling price of more than $52 million. But when we look at prices for other portraits of George, like this one that sold at Christie's almost 10 years ago, this too might seem a bit of a disappointment. Bacon has been a fixture on the auction circuit for years, most notably for his triptychs. In this painting, 3 Studies of Lucian Freud from 1969 became the most expensive work by Bacon to ever sell at auction when it achieved $142 million at Christie's in 2013. The next 2 works are from a little bit earlier in the 20th century, but both by artists you're certainly familiar with. Number 2 is straight from Giverny, an iconic water lily painting by Claude Monet. This one is from later in his life, painted in his own garden sometime around 1919. If you want a Monet, this is likely what you're looking for. It's classic Monet subject matter and had been in the same private collection for more than 50 years. And you might think that at $74 million, this could be a record for the artist, but not even close. It's not even his most expensive water lily painting. The highest price ever paid for a Monet came in 2019 for one of his haystacks at Sotheby's, for the crazy sum of almost $111 million. And you might have guessed number 1, it's the Spaniard himself, Pablo Picasso, with a work that comes in at a whopping $139.4 million. Some had speculated this painting of his lover and muse Marie-Thérèse Walter might actually break the record for the most expensive Picasso ever, but it wasn't to be. In fact, Picasso has had 6 paintings that have sold for more than $100 million, and this comes in at number 2. His record comes from back in 2015, when Les Femmes d'Alger brought nearly $180 million. So you might be asking, why didn't this painting of his lover break the record? Well, just look at it. Wouldn't you rather have this one? And I promised you a bonus round. They didn't crack the top 5, but there were 2 paintings by Joan Mitchell that were painted more than 30 years apart. The first was an almost 8 foot by 8 foot oil on canvas from 1959 being offered at Christie's. The second was a whopping 9 feet high and more than 13 feet wide painting from around 1991 being offered at Sotheby's. Mitchell is one of those painters whose nearly entire career is well respected. So the question became, do you want a smaller but earlier painting by the artist, or is bigger always better? Her previous record was a mere $16.5 million, and both of these works were estimated well beyond that. In the end, the earlier work fared the best when it sold for $29.1 million, with the larger and later piece not too far behind at $27.9 million. I talk modern and contemporary art and design on this channel, and I obviously pepper in a little bit about the art market as well. So if this is your thing, please subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you on the next one. Ciao!